Are you ready?
This is From the Backline, a soccer podcast from Vancouver, covering the game at home and abroad. Here are your hosts, Mark Daly and Jorge Mendoza.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 296 of From the Backline. Marco Van Basten and Jorge with you this evening. And Marco, dude, we are on the eve of a FIFA World Cup. And by the eve, I mean, if by eve you mean the week previous, like the prior week before then sure, we're at the eve of the 23rd FIFA World Cup, and I feel like my kids feel on Christmas Eve. I am giddy. I am excited. I can sleep. I keep thinking about this, and I'm just pumped, dude. I'm pumped. We're a week out from the kickoff of the Mexico, Canada, and U.S. 2026 World Cup. In a scale of 0 to 7, how excited are you?
About 4,421.
Got it.
Yep. I feel like in a kid, like in a certain store that sells candy, just like totally hyperactive, can't sleep, can't sit down, can't focus like on anything. I'm just like, I'm all ready to go. I mean, I was driving down Highway 1 the other day. I had to go into Vancouver on Monday afternoon, driving along. All of a sudden, Grouse Mountain's been transformed into like the ginormousest Canada flag ever, which looks absolutely amazing. And then
they got a Guinness World Record, right?
Yes, they did, which is really cool. And then, we've got like a giant football downtown, which used to be Science World, which looks really amazing. And BC Place is all ready to go. It's going to be very weird, when we see that first match being played in BC Place, like on actual grass, because I don't think there's ever been actual grass inside BC Place unless somebody brought it in with them, which would be kind of weird. Like, why would you bring a piece of turf with you? But, some people are kind of strange, but it's going to be cool. Very excited, dude. Like, it's like literally a dream come true. And it will always be a dream because tickets are too damn expensive. But hey, at least we can soak up the vibe.
Maybe we can go and be like little Timmy and just be on the outside of the stadium trying to look through little cracks and crannies and see if we can get like a bit of a glimpse.
Maybe we'll get chased away by security or Paul Blart or whoever's, doing the mall/stadium security for the for the big event. But yeah, it's going to be cool, dude.
Yeah, man. So what we decided to do this week is that we're going to leave our scarves and our hats for the Vancouver Whitecaps on the closet for the next few weeks because we have engaged World Cup mode. And what better way to kick off the World Cup season, the festivities, if you will, if it's not with a World Cup preview show that we have put together. And this is basically, we're gonna do a bunch of random predictions regarding the World Cup as to how we think it's going to shake out. And then after the World Cup, we're going to go back and revisit all of these predictions so we can make fun mostly of Mark because he's probably going to be wrong about most of them because he doesn't know much about soccer. So we can go ahead and make fun of him.
Fair.
So first of all, Mark, dude, it took me like 2 days trying to look at the calendar because there's so many teams and so many matches that it's gonna. I want to say it's going to be a slog, but hey, once the ball starts kicking, you cannot get enough matches. But so the $64,000 billion question is, who do you think is going to win the FIFA 2026 World Cup?
Dude, I've been thinking about this a lot, and whatever I think, I keep going back to Brazil. I don't know why. I just get the feeling that this is going to be their year. I just feel that Brazil's going to to deliver. And certainly I think that would be pretty much like a fan favorite. I mean, not too many people seem to hate Brazil. So I think, if they were to win, and then it would be also kind of serendipitous because they won 30 years ago when it was USA 94, when Roberto Baggio put the penalty kick over the top of the crossbar. And some Americans thought that he should have gotten 3 points for that and realized, hey, we're not playing that kind of football.
That's fair. And also, you got to keep in mind, like, they're being coached by Carlo Ancelotti, and that man knows nothing but winning trophies. So I can see.
Would you never get bored of like winning all the time? Like, apparently not. Apparently not.
The man is a boss. And,
Legend.
And he has won everything. You know what? I can see how you're saying, like, the man has won everything that is to win in soccer, because in all the competitions that he's been on, like, he's basically won at least once, all of them, like Champions League and leagues and cups and all that kind of stuff. But he's never coached at an international level, so I can see why just adding a World Cup in his locker will be definitely in the cards.
Trophy house.
He needs an
dedicated
an annex.
Exactly, an annex. Yeah.
Which is going to be expensive, because doesn't he live in West Vancouver in the off season with his wife?
That's correct. Yeah, because she's from there. So I mean, pricey postcode. But I mean, if you've won like literally everything there is in like world football, I mean,
afford it.
You could afford it. Like your own and like if you're living in the West Vancouver, you're not going to have an annex. It's going to have like something a little bit more, a little bougie sounding. Like whatever the opposite of annex is. That's what you would call it in West Vancouver.
Do you remember like 10 years ago, we went to UBC to the training center to watch a Whitecaps training session, and it was cold and rainy, and we were kind of like huddling together, and then suddenly we saw Carlo Ancelotti like a few meters away. That was my claim to fame. That's as far as I come.
There you go, rubbing elbows, like almost.
I wish
with Carlo Ancelotti.
I wish I had rub elbows. All right, so you have Brazil as the winners. How do you get there? Who do you have as the runner ups?
Let's break this down. Let's go group by group, okay? Because we're going to start with Group A. So obviously Mexico's winning that group. Obviously. And so we got Czechia, South Africa, South Korea, and Mexico. So I'm going with Mexico, runner-up South Korea. Group B, I'm going with Canada, runner-up Switzerland. That's what I'm going with. Group C, Brazil and Morocco, because that's a group of that also has Haiti and Scotland. Love how Scotland made it. I don't see them getting out of the group stage. Group D is USA, Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey. I'm going with USA and runners-up Turkey in Group D. Group E is an interesting one. You got Germany, Curacao, Ivory Coast, and Ecuador. I'm going in Germany and Ecuador. I think that seems to be the two teams that are coming to that one. Group F, Netherlands, Japan, Sweden, and Tunisia. I'm going with Holland. I got to go with the home country here, winning that one. I'm a little bit kind of like torn up, but I think Japan might be the runner-up in that group. I was kind of a little bit kind of torn up between Japan and Sweden, but I think maybe I give Japan the edge. Group G is interesting. You got Belgium, Egypt, Iran, and New Zealand. I think that Egypt wins this group and Belgium are the runners-up. And we'll come back to that when we talk about something later on. Group H, Spain, Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay. Spain obviously winning that group. Uruguay runners up for me. Group I, France, Senegal, Iraq, and Norway. I'm going France winning the group, and then I'm gonna pick Senegal to be the runners up, basically.
They just won the African champions.
Yep. Exactly. Group J, Argentina, Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. I'm going Argentina and Austria coming out of Group J. Then we get to the group of death in Group K, Colombia, Portugal, Uzbekistan, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. So I'm going Portugal. So I'm going Colombia to win it. Portugal being the runners-up. Again, we'll come back to that in a moment. Group L, Croatia, England, Ghana, and Panama. I'm going England and Croatia in Group L. Now, let's talk quarterfinals. So I'm not really sure if these all kind of line up. So I hope I did my math right. Because, if you look at like the official FIFA like bracket, you need to be like some sort of cryptographer to figure out like which team goes with
You need to be a
which.
NASA engineer.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, so this is my bracket for the quarterback, or sorry, quarterback. I'm also thinking other football season here, American throwball season. So I got two versions of my quarters. So let's go with I call the heavyweight path. It kind of works out. So quarterfinal 1, France versus England. Quarterfinal 2, Argentina versus Germany. Quarterfinal 3, Spain versus the Netherlands.
Good
Quarterfinal,
luck.
yeah, exactly. Then quarterfinal 4, we got Brazil versus Uruguay, and then semis France versus Argentina, and then the final France versus Brazil, which I think that's kind of a juicy kind of final if it works out that way. And then my option B, if like my math works, I got quarterfinal 1, USA versus Spain. Quarterfinal 2, Uruguay versus Germany. Quarterfinal 3, Colombia versus the Netherlands. Quarterfinal 4, Croatia versus Brazil. Semis are USA versus Uruguay and Colombia versus Croatia. And then an all CONMEBOL final of Uruguay versus Colombia. So this is the dark horse, like you got the glossy one. Oh, and sorry for my, what might be the predictable one. So the semis were France versus Argentina and Spain versus Brazil. I mean, those matches are all really, really juicy, but the dark horse ones, yeah, an all CONMEBOL final, Uruguay versus Colombia. So that's probably not going to happen. So, what are your thoughts? That's my take. I mean, I'm just going out on a limb here, and I know you'll pick me to shreds here after it's all over in about 6 or 8 weeks or whatever it is. But what do you think?
I think there is some merit in how you structure that. I can, like I said, I can see Brazil taking it. I think they had a really strong qualifier, but I think that you're wrong. I think you're wrong. I'm not, so here's my prediction. If you think about who won last World Cup, it was Argentina. It was Messi's crowning moment, lifting the World Cup.
Yep.
And if you think about his career and how intertwined it is with another footballer throughout the last 20 years, I think the winners of the FIFA 2026 World Cup are going to be Portugal. Because simply by the fact of they have played this game for over 20 years or 20 years, where it is anything that you can do, I can do better. And yes, Messi won the last World Cup, and I think that they're just going to push Cristiano Ronaldo even further. But it's not just about Ronaldo. I think that generally Portugal has a rather underrated team. I think they have a solid defense. They have one of the best midfielders in the world, and obviously Ronaldo and like up front. So I think that I can see how it come down. Now, how did it get there? I have a final between Portugal and Spain, which I think that Spain might be arguably the best team in the world right now.
Yep, agreed.
At the international level. And then in the semifinals, the other teams that didn't quite make it to the final is Germany, who would come on third, and hear me out, Mexico, who would come in fourth. And I will get there in a second. But other teams that made it through in my bracket are in the quarterfinals eliminated Morocco, Brazil, Belgium, and Argentina in a cross between Portugal and Argentina in that quarterfinals, which could have been an amazing final if that was to happen. And then eliminated in the round of 16, we had France, Korea, Ecuador, England, Colombia, Paraguay, Turkey, and Switzerland. So there you have it. Portugal as the champion, with Spain as the runners-up, and
I'm going to agree to disagree. So like the one thing, like I agree that like, Portugal has a ton of talent, and obviously I'm going to give a shout out to my boy, Bruno Fernandes, EPL player of the year, set the assist record, Man United player of the year. So he's completely on form. So I think that like Portugal's like fortunes at the World Cup this year completely revolve around what happens with Cristiano Ronaldo. So like I've actually got, so like we were going to talk about flops and surprises. So my runner up for flop team is actually Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
And so my top choice for flop player is Cristiano Ronaldo, who's now like,
How dare you?
Yeah, like, well, I mean, so it all really comes down to this. So I feel that if Roberto Martinez insists on starting playing Cristiano Ronaldo, I feel like it's going to slow down that really fluid, high energy attack that they have. And I feel that if he doesn't play well, that, and he, he doesn't start, I feel like that will just become like a media circus. I think it'll be like a massive distraction, which I think could really, put the brakes on their ambitions. So I think, not that that's necessary to call him out and say that he will be the flop player. I just feel that, if he doesn't play well and it becomes an issue, it's going to be not just a Ronaldo issue, but a Portugal issue, right? So, I mean, the thing is, you got to like give like Ronaldo like his flowers, because he's in incredibly good shape. He stayed very relatively injury free over the course of his career. But I'm kind of going from the angle that at some point time has to catch up with him. So we'll see. It's obviously we have a player of Ronaldo's like stature and the resume that a guy like that like Ronaldo has, that it's going to draw a lot of eyes on him. So anyways, that is kind of like one of the people I'm looking at to be the flop player of the tournament. Prove me wrong.
We will.
Okay,
don't worry.
I like the we.
Of course. All right, who do you think is going to be the top scorer?
Mbappe. I think it has to be Kylian Mbappe, and I'm going with like my runner-up is going to be Harry Kane.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Were
you going to say, how dare you?
Well, no. But you know what? Like, well, I'll talk about Mbappe in the next section. How predictable your picks are.
Okay. Well, who's your choice?
It's going to be Igor Thiago from Brazil.
Okay.
And so here's my rationale.
That's a good shout. 100%. That's a good choice.
Igor Thiago had one of the most underappreciated seasons this year. Playing for Brentford, he scored 27 goals across all competitions. He scored 3 less goals in the Premier League than Erling Haaland. Just 3. When Haaland plays in City and Igor Thiago plays at Brentford. Now, the other thing is, Mark, you got to think about, so in order for you to, well, not for you, but in order for a player to win the Golden Boot at the World Cup, you have to bag the goals in the group stage. That's the key.
Yes.
Right? Like we have examples of players who have won the Golden Boot, like with just goals that they score in the group stage. Like I remember, who was that? The Russian player Oleg Salenko in the 1994. He won the Golden Boot because he scored 6 goals in the tournament, but he scored 5 of those goals in one game against Cameroon. So it's important. It's like the goals that you bag in the group stage, those are the ones that are going to make. So I was looking for a team that, one, has quality as a whole, but 2, that had opportunity to go far in the team, like deep in the tournament, but had a relatively easy group stage, right? And when you look at France, when you look at England, when you look at all like the like Germany, when you look at all those teams, they don't have that that easy of a group stage. But when you look at Brazil, they're going to go against Haiti, they're going to go against Scotland, and they're going to go against Morocco. So I think that Igor Thiago has a really good chance of scoring 3 to 4 goals at least during the group stage, and that's going to give him that sort of baseline that is going to help him as they progress.
I like
maybe he can score a couple more. So So that's my prediction as to who's going to be lifting the Golden Boot in the World Cup.
So, okay, if Igor Thiago is your primary choice, who's your secondary choice? Do you have like a backup or?
I think if it's not Igor Thiago, I think that it has to be probably, well, not really. Probably a German.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see a German there going deep. Yeah, probably someone, a Spanish player who I said will make it all the way to the final.
What about Ronaldo? I mean, like in Group K, what was the group? Who was in Group K again? So you had
Ronaldo.
So that's
Ronaldo's
Portugal,
good.
Congo, Uzbekistan, and Colombia. I mean,
That is also.
I could see some goals being scored. Sorry, Uzbekistan, but I see goals aplenty going against you in the group stage. You'll love them for being there.
You're alienating all our Uzbekistani followers.
Well, I mean, you got to, bro. I'm just setting expectations here.
Okay.
Not that Holland's going to do any better, or not that England's going to do any better. I know that like my ancestors, will not live, if history proves to be a good indicator, I'm not really, well, who knows? History, does it bode well? Let's put it that way.
No kidding. All right. Let's move on. Next question is, who do you think is going to be the flop team of the tournament?
Belgium.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know why? Because I think, to be a flop team, I think you have to have had to been like a good competitive team for a while. And I think that that golden generation is now a thing of the past, right? De Bruyne is gone, Lukaku's down. And actually, when I was saying about like my flop player, I think, actually like my primary would be like Romelu Lukaku. I mean, he's been a great player in his prime, but he does have a tendency to miss some pretty big chances like under pressure. So, he's a pretty good target for criticism and stuff like that. And I just think that they lack speed, and, their time's come and gone. They had their moments, and, and I have to admit, I do love Senna Lamens, the Man United keeper, but he's still young, and, maybe Belgium will bounce back, but I think that they're probably the number one favorite.
In fairness, Belgium always flops. Yes. So you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, we agreed. Yeah. Okay, that's great.
Sure, but that's not the team that I picked. The team that I picked is France.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, France has made the final in the last two. Obviously, they won in Russia, and they got to the final against Argentina. So they have been very competitive in this tournament for the last 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't think the cohesion is there this year.
Okay.
And I think that a major issue that France has and will have in this tournament is the same French issue. So the second biggest issue that France has this tournament, which is the same issue that Real Madrid has a name, and that is Kylian Mbappe.
Okay.
Kylian Mbappe disrupts any kind of team dynamic and any team of tactical deployment that coaches have. I saw a stat that no other player in La Liga has more defensive. Out of all 341 La Liga players, including goalkeepers, Kylian Mbappe ranks dead last in defensive contributions per 90 minutes. Not among forwards or among attackers. He's dead last out of 341 players in La Liga. So the man does not defend. He doesn't pretend to defend. But if you go even further than that, if you look at Opta's top 20 leagues for more defensive contributions per 90 minutes, Kylian Mbappe is dead last in all of them. So he's 6,043 out of 6,043 players across the top 20 leagues in the world.
Wow.
So no other player in the world defends less than Kylian Mbappe. So I think that's going to be a major break for France, and I anticipate an early exit for them in this tournament.
Okay, so let's just back up again. So like we've covered a lot of ground since we started the show this week. Where did you have France, like kind of like through the group stages and everything like that? Obviously, you're like predicting to get through the group stage to the like round of 32 or 16 or whatever.
I got eliminated in the round of 16.
Okay. Well, the thing is with France, right? Like, I think you raise a good point that if they're going to go all the way. And, but there's also, like you say, I think a very good potential for them to fall short. So, yeah, that makes sense to me. I see your logic there, and I don't disagree with you on that.
Cool. Now, who do you think is going to be your flop player? Mine is not going to be Mbappe, which is kind of weird, but who's going to be your flop player?
Well, I'll kind of go back to what we were just talking about a few minutes ago. I mean, I think I'll kind of go like I'll go with Lukaku just because like I'm picking Belgium to be my flop team. So I think like that would be kind of somebody. I think that just kind of goes hand in hand. And again, it's kind of easy to dump on Ronaldo, but I mean, more likely than not, I think he will not be a flop player. But anyways, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to pick a Belgian player. How about yourself?
I have a French player, but it's not named Mbappe.
Okay.
I think that Ousmane Dembele is not going to have the tournament that everybody. He's the reigning Ballon d'Or, which raised a few eyebrows at the time. He was named League Player of the Year, but there was a huge controversy of that because I believe he played a total of 9 full games. In the league, and yet he was named. So I think that he flourishes under Luis Enrique's system. But I don't necessarily think that that's the same way in which France plays. So I don't know. So I think that everybody's expecting Dembele, especially as PSG won the Champions League alongside like the French league as well. They expect that if France wins the World Cup or goes deep in the tournament for him to get a second Ballon d'Or. I don't think that's going to be the case.
Okay. I think that's a good shout. I think that's a good choice.
Next up, we have the MVP. Who do you think the MVP is going to be?
I'm going to go Jude Bellingham.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And I did, let me take a look at my notes here. Yeah, I'll go with Bellingham. I'll go with Jude Bellingham. I think he kind of is like the emotional and kind of physical heart of like the English side, and England again is one of those teams. I think that they'll either do well and go far in the tournament, or they'll break down and go out early. But I don't think there's really any question about like the character, heart, and soul that Bellingham brings to that side.
Yeah, well, that's a good shout. I mean, he's demonstrated in Madrid, where it's like a high pressure environment that he can deliver.
Yep,
so
100%.
I'm gonna go with Lamine Yamal. I think that Lamine Yamal.
He was my runner up. Okay, cool.
I think Lamine Yamal is arguably the best player in the world. I think that he combines the fact that he has so many games under his belt at a high pressure situations, both for club, playing for Barcelona, and country. He's a European Championship winner with Spain at such an early age. So I think that he combines that experience alongside that bravado and naivete that youth gives you, right? Plus, he's a superb player. So with Spain in my bracket going all the way to the final, I can see how Lamine Yamal would put the Spanish team on his shoulders and carry them all the way through the tournament.
Yeah. No, that sounds fair. Yeah, that's a great shot. And it's ridiculous. How old is he now? Is he like 18 or 19
I think
now?
he's like 12 now. Yeah.
It's just ridiculous, like how young he is and how good he really is as well. My goodness.
All right. The next category, it really speaks to my heart because of
tacos.
I know that speaks to my belly.
Yeah, fair.
Because I know that I look young and spry, but I'm getting to a certain age mark. So the next category that I want to chat about is, who do you think is going to be like the wonder all guy? So not the wonder boy, the wonder all guy. Like those guys, this World Cup is going to be the final World Cup of many players who have been iconic and legendary in their own right over the last 15 to 20 years, right? Like it definitely is going to be the last dance for players like Ronaldo and Messi and Modric and De Bruyne and Guillermo Ochoa from Mexico. But so out of like that group of players who are kind of in the last hurrah, who do you think is going to be the player who's going to have a tournament that you're like, he still got it?
You already said his name in that list.
All right.
Yeah. Do you want to guess who my pick is?
Are you going to say Kevin De Bruyne?
No. I'll give you one more guess. Do you
think it's going to be Guillermo Ochoa?
No, actually, that is a good shout. But I was actually going to say Luka Modric is like my wonder old guy for that. I mean, he has just been a class player, like literally his entire career. And I just have that feeling that when we sit back and kind of look at it, we'll be, Luka still got it. He's still a baller.
Yeah. I mean, he's doing a great job at age 40 in Milan, which is nothing to snuff at.
Exactly.
I went a little bit out of left field, and I think Edin Dzeko, I think is definitely going to be on his last World Cup, on his last chance for Bosnia and Herzegovina. But if you look at the group where he is, he's against Qatar, he's going against Canada and Switzerland. I think that Edin Dzeko scores 2 or 3 goals in the tournament. I think that we can confidently say, like, you know what, Edin, you're still out there, you're still up there. And I think that it would be a nice send off for someone who he's quietly had a tremendous career.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's a good one as well.
All right, last one. Who do you think is going to be the team that overachieves?
The team that overachieves, this I had a little bit of fun with this one. I think it's going to be Austria. I think Austria has that potential because they finished first in their group at Euro 2024, both ahead of France and Holland, beating the Dutch in Berlin. They have a record of kind of like winning and doing well in these sort of high pressure one-off kind of like, matches. So I think that I think they have that kind of like, dark horse kind of like energy. And then also Ralf Rangnick, did he not like reject like an offer from Bayern Munich and, publicly committed to take Austria through this World Cup cycle? So there's like a bit of almost like this rebel kind of energy around that team, which I kind of like, to be quite honest.
Nice. That is a dark horse. That is a name that I didn't see coming. So that's cool. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on them. For me, Mark, and you may call me a little biased, I think it's going to be Mexico.
Okay.
And here's my rationale. Looking at the bracket, right? First of all, Mexico has made it into the quarterfinals twice in their history. Both times having won the World Cup is at home, in Mexico 1970 and in Mexico 1986. So we know that the Mexican team feeds off the fans and the home turf. So that, like, I think gives them a little bit of an edge going into the tournament. Like you mentioned, like, I think they have a really good shot of top the group. If they top the group, the first biggest foe that they'll have to go pass through will be England. Now, England, as has been documented, basically Thomas Tuchel left their best players out. Like Cole Palmer is not coming, Phil Foden is not coming, Harry Maguire not coming. So I don't know who's coming to play. So I think that that's going to be a major factor that is going to give Mexico an edge. So let's say that they passed England. If they get past England, they're going to face Brazil. Now, you can say, Jorge. That's where the dream ends. And I would say, not so fast, my friends. Couple reasons. Mexico historically does well against Brazil. The only major trophy that Mexico has won at a senior level was against Brazil. The 1999 Confederations Cup, which was played in Azteca Stadium in Mexico City. When Mexico won the gold medal in London 2012, the final was against Brazil.
There you go.
The last time these two teams faced each other in a World Cup was in Brazil 2014. What was the result? 0-0 in the group stage. So Mexico does well. Like now that's 0-0 was in Brazil against Brazil. So I think that Mexico is not afraid of Brazil historically. Now, if they make it through, then they will face Portugal. And that's, as I said, I think Portugal's going to win it. So I think that Mexico, that's where it would end. And then they will go and face Germany. And then they wouldn't beat Germany again, even though they beat them in 2018. So I think Mexico has a really good shot of maybe overachieving and going over the expectations that people have. Also, the Mexican team is a disaster and has been like many issues into going into the World Cup. And also, historically, when that has happened, when people are the angriest against the team, that's when they perform the best. When things are going well, not so hot. When it comes to time to deliver on the pitch, but when everybody's angry and no one believes in them, that's when they do the best, and that's the case again. So maybe it's wishful thinking, Mark, but that's it.
Everybody loves a bit of an underdog, though. There's that as well, right?
Yeah, for sure. So there you have it. Those are our major predictions for the World Cup 2026. I do have one more story that I want to share as I was looking at the
But dude, I hate to cut you off here, but we still have one more category that you forgot.
Did I miss a category? Should me.
You did. Random player who shines.
Of course.
Okay. And I think this can be like a little bit kind of like fun because like I decided to use AI to pick out like a random player who shines, and my like it kind of came up with something, and so I reprompted Google Gemini, and I reprompted to say, can we make our random player who shines even more random? Okay, so we're getting the randomness of the most random players that are coming to the World Cup. So I've got two names here. So, okay, my primary choice, thanks to Google Gemini, for the random player who shines is Abusbek Faizullayev from Uzbekistan. And so this is cool. He is the undisputed Uzbek Messi, is the most random high-yield breakout prediction you can make. The Istanbul Basaksehir attacking midfielder was named the AFC Youth Player of the Year and is the focal point of a dangerous defensive Uzbekistan squad in Group K. If Uzbekistan sneaks a result against Portugal, it will be due to Fazuliyev's world-class agility, defense splitting, passing, and set-piece magic. So not only did Gemini give me one, it doubled down, gave me a second. So my second most random player who may shine at the World Cup is Ali Jassim from Iraq, 22 years old. So the case is a dynamic left winger signed by Cesc Fabregas's Serie A club Como, who has spent the last year refining his trade on loans. Placed in Group I with France, Senegal, Jassim has been a massive shop window to exploit. He is an absolute dribbling machine with elite transition speed, having already dominated AFC U23 Asian Cup with 8 goals. So there you go. Ali Jassim from Iraq, and then Abusbek Faziliyev, from Uzbekistan. So that's according to Google Gemini. So I don't know. It seems pretty random, but, the logic seems pretty good. Or it's AI slop. I don't know.
It's interesting because I too went with a Middle Eastern player, and my player is Musa Al-Tamari. So Musa Al-Tamari is a Jordanian player.
Okay.
And he currently plays in France in Ligue 1 for the club Rennes. Now, in 2023, he led Jordan to play the final of the AFC Asian Cup. And then that moved them to Montpellier in 2023. And then he went on and moved to Rennes when he had a very, very good season this past season. So he was capped at, U23 level, and he has been very, very good for Rennes. And he actually, as I was looking at a couple of videos, he scored a volley very, very akin to Marco van Basten's famous volley.
Sure.
He scored that against Lyon. So I think that is the kind of player who's gonna feel like he's coming out of nowhere and getting maybe like a big signing, becoming a big signing after having a solid World Cup.
There's always going to be a player like that, right? Like a random player that shines, that like does so well at the World Cup that everybody in the world wants to sign that player after it's all over. Yeah, that's solid. Yeah. I will say, how dare you? And you didn't pick anybody from Mexico, but I'll give you this one. I'll give you this one.
No.
No.
Right.
Okay, fair.
Okay, so as I was saying, I just have one more thing that I wanted to mention, and I was when I was going through the bracket, and I saw, Curaçao. What a story! Right, Curaçao, 100,000 people. They were able to make their first ever World Cup. And you look at, okay, Curaçao, you're going to play your first game in the World Cup in your history. You're going to go against Germany, 4-time World Cup champions. And you're like, oh my God. But
not an easy task.
As long as you get past Germany, then you have to face Ecuador, who were the second best team in CONMEBOL in qualifying, above teams of like Uruguay and Argentina and Paraguay. And they allowed 5 goals in the entire, arguably the best defense in the world. They allowed 5 goals in the entire qualifier of the CONMEBOL. And they're like, okay, well, surely you have like at least one that you have a chance. Then they have to play against Ivory Coast, which allowed 0 goals in qualifier in Africa. So very happy for Curaçao, but Jesus, could I have had a more difficult group? And I think it's just going to be a matter of like how many goals they're going to let in. So it's going to be cringy. A little cringy.
Yeah. It's just like, if the goals start going against them, like if you're the manager of the other team, like when do you ease off like the bloodbath, essentially, right? It's just like, you want to have like a good like goal differential, obviously, and you want your players to, be confident and making the most of their chances. But if it's so lopsided, it's like, if it's a boxing match, like when do they like, stop it? Because it's like, throw in the towel. Exactly. Yeah. But, yeah.
All right. Well, obviously, like I said, the World Cup starts in a week. Mexico will kick off with South Africa, which is the first time also ever that 2 teams play in the inaugural World Cup match. Because in 2010, when it was in South Africa, the first game of that tournament was South Africa versus Mexico. And that's going to be Mexico versus South Africa, which is only the second time that it's the first time that the same match will kick off a World Cup in history.
Will we see like the typical kind of thing, like, that match kicking off at like the hottest time of the day and stuff 12, like that?
Yeah, noon.
Yeah, nice.
Well, noon here, so maybe like 2:00 in Mexico, but it's going to be hot.
It'll be hot. Yeah. Well, what is the weather typically like in the middle of, second half of June in Mexico City?
Hot and muggy. Yeah. It's gonna be awful. Hey, well, I don't have to play, so
exactly. It looks great. It looks great when you're watching it at home, like where it's nice and comfy, right?
Yeah. Excellent. Well, super excited, Mark. Next time we chat, we're probably going to be chatting about the first games for both Mexico and Canada, because Canada will play the next day, and then we're gonna be celebrating or getting a little antsy if the results don't go our way.
Okay, I got a question for you now, because when we started like version 1 of the podcast all those years ago, like the Canadians men's national team was ranked what, like 115th or 120th in the world. Like, I mean, it was sad how bad they were 10, 12, 15 years ago or whatever it was. And I mean, now, I mean, they've really grown and become, a much, much better team and are ranked much higher in the FIFA rankings. But I mean, back in the day, I mean, let's be honest, we would cheer for Canada just almost out of like, I wouldn't say duty or obligation, but I mean, there was just like no realistic hope. So it was always like, you would cheer for the country where your family was from, right? So you'd always cheer for Mexico. I'd always cheer for Holland and occasionally for England, But I mean, Canada was just like, it was almost like an obligation that we should have, but like now it's different. Canada's a much better team. And I mean, it's not like they're ranked top 10 in the world, but I mean, they're like markedly, so much better than they were. So now it's a little bit kind of problematic, right? Now, I mean, it shouldn't be, but now it's like, should I really be cheering first now for Holland's, So
it will only be a problem if they face each other.
Exactly. Yeah. And
But
then,
let's cross the bridge when we get there.
But dude, we know how this turns out. We all loved Seinfeld, and we know what happened with Jerry and the black and white cookie. It just didn't work, and he ate the black and white cookie and got sick. So, like I feel like cheering for Holland and Canada at the same time would be like that, and like I would, be at war with myself, and I'd probably get sick and throw up. So,
the last thing I will say is that the Simpsons are notorious for predicting the future.
Oh yes, yeah.
The final in that the New Jersey stadium.
Yep.
For the World Cup, Portugal versus Mexico.
There you go. Let's see if that pans out. That would be an interesting final. Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be
You're
amazing.
smiling already. You're just like, the Simpsons have gotten it so right so many times and like predicting the future. Okay.
It's going to be true.
Well, we will reconvene in about 5 weeks from now or whatever it is, 5.5 weeks, and we'll see if that prediction comes true.
We will.
Cool. All right.
As I kiss the art replica of the World Cup that I find online, and I'm going to be kissing.
There you go. Sweet. That would actually, that would make a pretty cool, profile picture for your social media channels.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will.
And if that happens, I will let you flex on that because you'll have deserved it. Or, well, maybe you didn't deserve it or earned it, but, L3 actually did. And I'll let you live in their glory.
Amazing.
How's that?
I appreciate
there you
it.
go.
Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome, buddy.
All right. So that's all for our preview show of the FIFA World Cup. Like I said, we'll come back next week after the first couple of matches of both Mexico and Canada, and we'll chat all about that. Until then, make sure that take care and enjoy this time of the year, which is this time of every 4 years, which makes it even more meaningful. All right, thanks, and we'll chat again soon.